I think you have severe body dysmorphia, and one of the worst things for you is having a monitor, a giant monitor. Well, you don't have a giant monitor on your podcast, and I just want to say, you might be the most like Larry David of any, in terms of your social faux pas, of any friend I have.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't you think so? You ever get that before?
I definitely feel, sometimes I feel, there's a part in like, I think it's the episode of Shaq, where Jeff Garland goes to Larry and he's like, you got to get a handle on yourself. Like, we're pissing off everyone. Yeah. And I definitely feel that
it's him calling out the reality.
Yeah, it's like everyone's mad at you right now. I definitely feel like that sometimes, but...
Which never happens in Curb.
What do you mean? Like,
no one's ever, like, there's never a secondary character who like goes to Larry and is like, you gotta stop.
Yeah. It's just really that one moment.
Yeah.
There's like that brief intervention with Garland on the street, and so I mean, I guess I sometimes feel like that. Yeah. Though I was talking to someone who knows Larry David. She said that he's actually very non-confrontational in real life, which I guess makes sense. Like, he's afraid to confront.
He's acting out.
So the show,
I've heard that too. Yeah.
Which what an amazing fun show to be a part of. That you just get all your friends and you improvise, and it's you just saying what you wanted to say in every situation.
Yeah, it's basically living out what you wish you could do.
Which is be a sociopath.
Right. But there is some videos, like have you seen that video of him at the parking garage? Like,
oh yeah, he's like very Larry David there, right?
He gets out of his car and the thing's not working, and he's like that.
Yeah, that was very Larry. That would seem like one of those things where you're like, you meet the person, you're like, oh, that's exactly what I thought you'd be like, you know?
Yeah. The one thing I was thinking about with him though, because obviously having you on the podcast, like Larry David I start thinking about it, which is that anti-Semitic?
What?
That I'm like, oh, Raanan's going to be on the podcast, and I just start thinking about Larry David.
Well, you're Jewish. You can't be anti-Semitic.
Well,
unless it's the non-Jewish side of you.
That's true.
Which side of you said that? The Jewish side or the non? Your dad's a Jew, right?
My dad's a Jew. Yeah, the Gentile side thought of this more.
The Gentile side.
Yeah, the Gentile side thought of you, and I thought you're kind of you're a bit of a moneylender.
Moneylender. Yeah, I'm just very self-conscious right now. I posted the worst thing in comedy now is when you like spend like a couple hours on a video and then you post it and then the first comment is someone just calling you ugly and you're like, what am I doing this for? I'm going to kill myself, you know?
You're worried about maybe someone being like, that sucks. That's not funny. And some guy just calls you ugly immediately.
Well, because I'm funny. Right. Everyone's just calling me ugly.
Right.
If I was less funny, people would just be like, you're not funny. But it's actually worse. Because I'm funny, it's constant insults about my look.
You actually don't get a lot of comments like not funny.
I mean, sometimes, but yeah, not as much as, people aren't funny.
Right. Right. There's a lot of people like, you're not getting a lot of like, where's the joke?
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of like, oh my God, what happened to this guy?
Which, I mean, it's pretty bad. I know women like to claim a monopoly on the grief of comments, you know?
We know.
But we get some pretty awful women are like, you have no idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. The threat of ugly is right there. Once they've said you're ugly, the sting is there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no threat to my life except that I want to kill myself. That's a threat.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I have this Harry Potter joke.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Well, thank you very much. My Harry Potter joke, I've posted a few times over the years, and I always recently, like maybe a year and a half ago, I posted a clip of the Harry Potter joke from this like British TV show that I did.
Yes,
and it just got the attention more so than other times of like religious people. And so I would say the negative comment that I get the most now is because this video just gets traction occasionally. I just get like, I wake up to a comment that's not like you're ugly or this isn't funny, of just like, your soul is damned.
But that's nice because you're like, they're crazy.
They're crazy and it's funny, and then it happens 50 times and you're like, okay, this is annoying.
It's annoying, but your soul is not damned.
I have a soul.
I have gained weight.
You have gained weight. That's true.
like one of those. Religious things are the best because you're just like, you're an idiot.
Yeah. And then also like there's no forgiveness with these people, and it's like their religion is supposed to be about forgiveness, and they're like, God hates you.
Right, and that they're like hiding. Like it's like whenever someone's anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic, like openly,
Yeah.
they're just revealing that their life isn't going well.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
You're basically just saying you're unemployed and live at your parents, you know?
Right.
So every time you say like, the Jews, you might as well just say, I'm a loser.
Sure.
Here's my credit score and whatever. But
Credit score.
But with the soul being damned, it's almost like they're saying like, I'm trying to fight off this desire to be gay or whatever. It's like clearly
Sure.
like a personal thing. You know
Now that would be a fun comment. You post a stand-up clip and some guy comments, "I'm trying to fight off a desire to be gay."
Well, I used to have a bit about that where if you write a mean YouTube comment, you should at the end of it say the sad thing in your life making you so miserable. So it'd be
Yes,
like
sure.
fuck you, you fat Jew. My uncle molested me when I was 8. And
That's
I haven't
really
gotten
funny.
over it. Yeah, thank you.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Isn't it funny how, as comedians, even though we respect each other, we still always are like, "That's really funny." We still say that tone of surprise.
Totally.
Well, what is
Like,
that?
that's
Do we just
actually a
assume
good-
that? Yeah,
That's a good idea.
and I know you don't. I know you're not surprised. I know you think I'm funny.
Yeah,
but
I
we
do.
still. And I do that to people, but like it's weird. We always have that tone. Like that was actually funny.
Well, it's because we have, and I don't, people. I'm not even going to be conscious of what people like or don't like. It is what it is. This is just talking about what we're doing. But because we have commodified a sense of humor, like a essential part of your sort of day-to-day being, it can appear numb and cold. And because we laugh at things less spontaneously, a lot of times you go, like the classic thing is a comedian being like, "Oh, that's funny," instead of laughing.
Oh, so it's like that's the one that actually got me. Like
I think so.
like,
I think me going, "Oh, that's funny," is the
Like
day-to-day equivalent of like me going, "Ha, ha, ha, ha."
yeah,
Very good.
like I recognize that you're funny most of the time, but I'm dead inside. But that
Yeah,
one
yeah.
actually brought me a little bit of life.
Yeah, honestly, that was a very
Even though you're still being like, "That's funny," you're still not
sure.
laughing. Yeah.
That was a very academic way of me saying I'm dead inside.
Well, I mean, that is with comedians. It's like at a certain point, when you do comedy, eventually you just don't find jokes funny. Like and then where do you go from there? You're
Right.
like, yeah, I get it.
Right. It's kind of like losing. It's kind of like losing a sense.
Directors talk about it. Like Coen Brothers talk about like once you get really into movie making, you can't watch a movie with that innocence anymore. You know what I mean? You're just thinking about how it was made in every moment.
Don't you feel that way with jokes? Don't you feel you're seeing the math, kind of like you're seeing the data? Do you feel that way?
Unless the comedian's really good. I guess the key to a really good comedian, and this is not for every one of their jokes, but the key to like a really great joke is when you really it's so funny you don't do the math.
Right. I always I call it cloaking. When you're the best comedians, in my opinion, are the people who cloak the math.
It's funny when you just use a synonym and you're like, I call it this.
Yeah. Man,
My term for that is
coming off terribly.
No. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like with Joe, I never see the math. It's always just like, I guess if you capture the Joe list, I guess if you capture the emotion.
Yeah, sure.
The more you capture the emotion, the less you see the math. The more it's someone like legitimately frustrated on stage.
Totally.
And I guess there are jokes where you really are like, I don't know, something about that's funny, and I don't like one time, I mean, not to bring up some of my own, and this is not even like one time I was roasting Jeff Asmus, and the joke that really made me win wasn't a joke. It was just like, I was like, I just said it. I was like, I don't have a joke for this, but like, we used to live together, and I would always leave my dishes in the sink because I knew he'd always wash them like a little bitch. And it got like a big laugh.
Of course it did.
But I'm like, I don't know what I mean, there is the math there of like not having a joke, but making it clear that it's something true.
No, it's a true thing that's very biting and kind of like revealing about him in a sort of in an embarrassing way.
So there are jokes where there is no math. It is just like an honest thing sometimes. You know what I mean?
True, and I mean that's why people think it's funny sometimes when someone is like, "Oh God, I'm really doing bad up here."
Yeah,
and then they get their
yeah.
big laugh because they're like, "God, that didn't work."
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, because it's a real
I'm not saying
thing.
it's like that, but it's parallel sort of
Right.
to that. I always think it would be funny if I was just talking to Ismail, who was judging a roast battle.
Oh, really?
And we were on the phone. We were just. I mean, maybe this isn't funny, but we were just dying laughing about if he in the roast battle was just like, you're a fucking piece. It just didn't joke when it was time for him to and just be like, fuck you, idiot. And then just
what are you doing here?
To see like how people would react.
You think this is going anywhere? Do you think this is going to help your career?
I saw a guy at Caroline's years ago. There was a guy in the front row by himself enjoying the show. This always, like, whenever I have like an intrusive thought about this a lot. Like, I'll tell you who it was after, but he was hosting, and he was like, there was a guy in the front row, and he goes, look at this guy. Look at this ugly guy. God, you're ugly. And there was like no joke. And this poor guy was by himself enjoying the show.
See, that's funny. He didn't do the math. That's funny. He broke free from the math. You're like, that's actually funny.
No, he was just pointing at this guy. And I was just in the back like, oh my God.
This guy's ugly.
This is like the worst thing I've ever seen. Like this poor guy, like, you just saw this guy like be totally deflated, and people like didn't laugh. They were like, oh. You know, like when a hush comes over the audience.
Yeah. Well, that's why Trump is funny, because he's like so mean. I mean, a lot of comedy is just being mean. That's why a lot of comedians are bad people.
Right, because they might mean it.
Because they have no filter, no impulse control. You know what I mean?
See.
And
yes,
they'll just
totally.
say, you know, that's like not.
Hey, I mean, you're not a mean guy, but you don't have impulse control.
Yeah, and I'm also like, I'm always apologizing because I'm always like, fuck, you know.
Yeah, you're kind of on a 24/7 apology tour. Don't you feel that way sometimes?
But I'll say this:
it's like you're in a PR crisis all the time.
I'll say this though, but I've gotten very true. But I've gotten a lot better. I used to be a lot worse.
Really?
Yeah.
That was
yeah, I know. Yeah,
is that true?
Yeah, I used to be a lot worse in Louisville. Yeah.
Like, do you think it was a callous disregard for other like peers and people in your life in Louisville, or do you think it was
that? Yeah.
So it was you being kind of a Larry David social faux pas guy and having a God complex?
Yeah. Imagine me without guilt.
Well, without guilt and with a mass, because I don't look at you as having a superiority complex.
No, I've been humbled.
Really? In what way?
Well, back then I was arrogant. I was on drugs. I was, you know what I mean?
Like, what drugs are you doing?
You know, Adderall and painkillers.
Really?
Yeah. I was a drug addict.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What kind of?
I'm like Mulaney, but without the fame. just the sorrow.
You're just Sorrow Mulaney.
Yeah.
Wait, you were doing painkillers?
Yeah.
So you would go to like a show and be like Jim Morrison, basically? Just kind of, you'd be like nodding off and telling people what's what?
Sometimes. I remember one time, I guess I had drunk and done Xanax, and I didn't remember the show. And then I came to the club the next day, and the guy, like another comedian, was like, that was crazy last night when you took your shirt off on stage and just started like jumping around, and I didn't remember it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like one time I saw someone post a racist joke, and some guy in the comments was like, dude, that's my joke. That's my racist joke.
That's really funny. So you were doing, because I imagine you such a kind of like as a compliment, I mean this, like you're like a writerly guy. You're like working.
I was
on
writerly
things.
too, but I was wanting to be like Doug Stanhope and
yeah. So you were
and Bill Hicks. Remember the age of like. I feel like that video of Bill Hicks yelling at that woman caused so much terrible like angry comedy in young men. You know? Do you remember that video?
Of course.
And I feel like that caused so many open micers to just be like, if I just even hear a slurp of a straw, I'm like, you fucking fuck, you know what I mean?
Well,
I was like that. I called so many people.
Oh, really? So it's all from that video?
Yeah. One time, I think there was just like an old lady in the audience. I just pointed to her like, look at this fucking.
Wait a minute. Were you the guy at Caroline's? Look at this ugly guy in the front row.
And the guy sitting there. I've become the guy sitting there.
God punished you by making you the guy sitting there.
Yeah, I was really.
You're a handsome guy. I think you have severe body and facial dysmorphia.
Well, I'm also fat.
I don't think you're that fat. Senator, I know fat people. You know what? Fat people.
I used to be thin enough where people would go, "You're not fat."
And
now they go, "You're not that fat." Like I've gained enough weight that it's added a that.
I don't think.
I'm trying to lose enough weight so I can have. Because when people say you're not fat, they were lying.
But you're not fat.
But it was like a believable lie. Now they can't say you're not fat. They have to say you're not that fat, which is also a lie. But it's a believable lie. I've gained enough weight that people can't say you're not fat with a straight face. But I'm trying to lose enough weight so people can believably lie and say you're not fat.
I understand
Which
the
is about 30
distinction.
pounds.
It's about 30 pounds, sure. But I think that people, if you're considered overweight, it's in the way that stay with me. George Costanza was considered overweight, and I don't think either of you are overweight.
I'm bigger than Costanza. Costanza was not even fat.
Well, that was the whole thing.
Costanza just had a big head.
I think that's come up on my podcast before, that Costanza is actually in better shape than most people.
Well, he didn't really have body fat. It was just structurally.
He was
stocky.
He was stocky.
I am that though. I mean, I do think I used to do a bit even if I lost, I would still I could never be thin. Even in Auschwitz, I would look a little like this. I'd still look a little stocky,
Yeah, that's really funny.
They'd liberate the camp and they'd see me and be like, "That's a guard hiding." But yeah, I mean, you have such a great frame. You have so many places for fat to hide.
You think so?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's
That means a lot. That's a worst compliment I've ever received.
40 pounds and people wouldn't doubt.
Believe me, I know. I think
it would just go to your knee. And
I have gained 25 pounds and nobody knows.
No one. Yeah, I'm so to be tall. To be tall.
I think what you have a misapprehension of the. You look at tall and you go, it's all gold.
No. And I actually think you're Kirsch because you're tall and insecure. You're like a child with a gun. That's what you're like. It's you don't know how to use it.
That's really funny. Yeah, I'm one of the tall people who has neck pain because I'm always instinctively ducking and I don't need to duck.
Well, who was the tall person? Was it your... Oh, it wasn't your mom.
My dad is tall. My dad's 6'3".
The Jew is tall.
My dad's 6'3". My grandpa was 6'4". Yeah, I don't want to do the height. Do we have to do the height?
You act like height is I'm.
I know, but it's just so uninteresting.
You act like height's the N-word for you. It's insane.
No, it's just when friends bring up my height, I'm like, must we?
You get. I
mean, I had a talk about Larry David's social faux pas. I was at a party years ago. And there was it was a housewarming party, and there was another tall guy there. Have I told you this? And
no.
This tall guy comes up to me, and he was like, "Hey, tall guys at the party." And I was like,
"Oh yeah."
And I was like, "I'm not doing that." And that guy's still mad at me because I was like, "Are we really going to do this tall thing?"
It's like a black guy saying the N-word to another black guy, and he's like, "We don't have to do this internalized racism."
It's kind of similar.
You don't have to make these jokes just because you feel like other people will.
Right. I was like, no, I don't look at myself as the tall guy. It's not something I'm doing at the party. And
you don't feel
hey, we're the tall guys at the party. And I'm like, why don't we just be
You have you have height dysmorphia.
You think I'm a short man?
Yeah. You have height dysmorphia.
Yeah.
You're like, why do I keep on getting every job I interview for?
Yeah, again, you have this idea. You have this idea that I'm like a senator.
Well,
by the way, the only tall senator now is John Fetterman, and he seems to be in the worst emotional shape of anybody.
Like ogre tall. That's different.
Yeah, but I mean,
what's his deal?
He's not tall in a charming way. He's tall in a way where he's kind of. He's miserable. Everybody around him's miserable.
Yeah.
He's throwing cottage cheese at people.
He's not having a good run, right? Is he having actual mental decline?
I think he's having mental issues, and he was hospitalized for depression, but I think there's also
he was?
You didn't know that?
From what caused him depression? A mirror? Or
the roast of John Fetterman. I think a lot of people would sign up for that.
Yeah, I mean he's like the Penguin.
This article came out this week in the New York Times about it. It was he's like John Fetterman finally decides to show up to committee meetings, and then it's Fetterman being interviewed. He's like, I don't understand why everyone's trying to get me to come to the meeting.
I heard that. He's like, I've been peer pressured to do my job or something.
Yeah, and he's like, it's not interesting. It's not interesting. You're a senator. It's very funny for a guy to be bullied into. They tried to bully him into wearing suits.
Right, he refused.
I do respect that. I do think that the decorum of dress, to a certain extent, is this societal construct that we don't necessarily need to obey. And obviously you agree with me.
Well, I'm sorry to wear a tux to this podcast.
By the way, can I just say this is so we're recording this at 11:30, and it's I feel first of all, thank you for being here to
I feel so tired.
morning radio.
I know. I feel
essentially.
like my eyes. I actually been like I woke up early.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble like reading. I feel like my eyes have never been like seeing this.
I'm not used to podcasting before noon at least, and on the way here, I hope I'm not coming across this way. On the way here, I was like, this feels like I woke up at 4 a.m. to go to the airport.
It really does feel like that for me. Yeah, I'm like livid deep down.
Yeah, you're upset with me.
No, it's fine. I feel like the last time you asked me to do this, it was like 10:30 in like Staten Island or some shit. I just said no to you.
No, I know what it was. It was in Brooklyn.
I was like mad you even brought it up.
It was in Brooklyn. It was like a year and a half ago. It was in Brooklyn at in Bushwick, and it's very inconvenient for you to get there. We don't have to get into the sort of.
I live in Astoria. That's it. That's the intricacies.
That's it. Okay, so I want to get into some of these things and ask you if you've heard of them.
Yeah. Let's get to let's get to the podcast. Are we recording? Are we beginning? Is this the beginning?
I think people.
That'd be so funny if you were just like, all right, and now let's begin the podcast.
You know how there's people who do the thing of like, we've actually been recording this whole time, and like they don't know, and like they keep in all that stuff. Like we keep it in. Mine is the opposite. I'm the first podcast to do the opposite, where we do a whole podcast of banter, and then
you just trash it.
Yeah, and then 5 to 1, I go, okay, let's begin. So you're from Kentucky?
Let's begin. Delete everything you just saw. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Don't even use it for the Patreon. That's so
totally.
Funny.
Okay, so you're from Kentucky and you're a Jew.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, people act like that's such a big like thing, and I'll admit it. I did like. I feel like I've always never wanted to be like the Jew from Kentucky angle,
But I know another Jew from Kentucky. So it's a massive state.
I know. And
there's a lot of Jews there.
There's a lot of Jews there, and Louisville's like the 16th biggest city, and it doesn't feel like
it's not. I will say this though, and I don't mean to insult your hometown. It's the 16th biggest city. By the way, 16th, very tough word for you, and you nailed it. You did a good job.
I was practicing beforehand. I was practicing beforehand. Shit.
Yeah, you fucked it up. No, but it doesn't feel. How do I put this nicely? It doesn't feel cosmopolitan.
You don't think so? Yeah, I mean, well, what's a city that feels cosmopolitan? Like Seattle, and outside of New York, obviously. Or LA.
I mean,
Chicago.
Sure, yeah, Chicago. I would say
it feels more like a small Cleveland or like Cincinnati.
I'm a big Cleveland apologist. I love Cleveland. I think Cleveland. I'm like Cleveland's really nice.
I feel like they have a lot of disturbing crimes in Cleveland.
Oh,
that was where the guy kidnapped the 3 girls in the house. Remember?
Yes, Ariel Castro.
Yeah, there was a Facebook video. Remember there was a guy who was just like put a Facebook Live and he just killed someone on Facebook Live. Do you remember that?
Was in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Oh, I do remember.
And there was like a serial killer who had like a bunch of bodies. I mean, there's gross shit everywhere.
There was a string of those, when live video first became really popular on the internet and like streaming and stuff, like in like maybe like 10 years ago or 12 years ago, it was like pretty soon after that was like a lot of videos came out of someone being like, I'm going to turn this on and kill people.
Like a little too quickly.
Too quick, yeah. It followed almost immediately. And you wonder what is going to be the next big technology that people are going to take advantage of and kill on. Yeah.
Yeah. Killing out live on shit is crazy.
It's nuts.
Well, obviously. But
totally. Have you ever seen
that was such an obvious statement.
Have you ever seen someone die?
Yeah. I mean, I saw that video. And
no, but I mean live.
In real life?
Yeah.
My grandparents.
Yeah, but
after I shot them
on Facebook Live.
On Facebook Live.
Okay,
I watched my grandparents die.
Yeah, that counts. That counts, and I don't mean to minimize that.
Oh, it sounds like you're saying it doesn't really count.
It counts. Obviously, it counts. But have you seen somebody be murdered?
You mean like not just a bullshit dying in a bed? That's. Like
I'm talking about murder. I'm talking about have you seen somebody be killed?
No. Do you think I would never have mentioned that? Out of all this shit, I tell people about what my shits look like. You think I'm
ew?
You think I'm ignoring?
This is not that kind of podcast.
You think I'm ignoring like a murder? Yeah, no, of course. Have you?
A girl.
What?
I saw the immediate aftermath of somebody getting hit by a cement truck in front of my apartment in Brooklyn.
Did they die?
Can I borrow your glasses?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
What? Really?
It was.
Was it like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where she was like cemented to the?
It was
like at the end of Naked
It was
Gun.
the real world, bloody, messy equivalent of that.
That's so disgusting. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
When did you see that?
Probably 2018, 2019.
So just take me through it.
This girl was on a bike and ran a stop sign, and a cement truck was going through, crossing, like a big avenue in Brooklyn, and just hit her. Not going that fast, but
you saw her. Like, what did you say happened to her?
I mean, it was a big mess. She basically it was a pile. It was a pile.
Pile? But did it go under her or just push her? You mean it like
she went under it?
She went under the cement truck?
I'm trying to put this in a way that's not like it was like, no, it looked like there was parts of it that looked human and recognizable, and then parts of it that you were like, what is that?
So you just saw this Final Destination like murder?
Well, I saw the immediate aftermath because I was walking in my apartment and there's all these construction guys filming it, and they were like, oh shit, look at that. And I was like, what's going on? And then my life was changed.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
We can't have this in the podcast. This is crazy.
You don't think so?
We've been laughing and shit. Now you're talking about some,
Well, I think there's things you've said that are more objectionable. Okay, I need to get to some of these things.
A dead body. That's always been my dream.
Like Stand By Me? Kind of thing?
Yeah, but the problem is to really find a dead body, you got to be like jogging early in the morning. Those are two things I don't do. Wake up early and jog. For me to find a dead body, I'd have to do the two things I've never.
Yeah, do you even own a tracksuit?
I did one of those things today, and it ruined me. Do I own a tracksuit?
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to be jogging in a tracksuit.
I mean, I could own a tracksuit, but for the fat version, for the Stav way of wearing a tracksuit.
I'm talking about I'm talking about the jogging in the foggy morning tracksuit.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the only way to find a dead body, because there's to the early bird gets the worm, So like
that is true. And here's the thing they don't talk about with the dead body discovery, with regard, like especially with Stand By Me, is the smell.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Stand By Me, they really don't address, because he's been there for several. Actually, no, he's been there for a long time.
Where do they find him?
Like in a forest. But
right.
the whole and perhaps this has been.
That movie was really disturbing as a kid. That like the murder in it.
Yeah, it's a little disturbing, like in the sense that the beginning of the movie is kind of a fallacy, because they're like, well, we're gonna go. We heard about this Have you heard about the body of the kid who got hit by the train? And they're like, yeah, like we should go find it. And then like, how long ago did someone hear about the body that got hit by the train? Like how far back was that? Like, was that several weeks? Was that several days? And then it takes them several days to find the body. So
that's what they're looking for, a body got hit by a train. I thought someone else got murdered.
No, they're looking for a body that got hit by a train. And then they find.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. How does people know a body got hit by a train if the body's still like not found?
People might correct us, but I believe that someone goes, there's a body. We should go see a dead body. Like somebody heard about it, I think.
And no one came to sweep it up already?
I think so. We could be totally wrong, but this is what I remember. I remember them hearing about the dead body and going, hey, I heard there's a dead body. You want to go see it? And then they go on the hunt for it. Anyway, then they find it, and it's this cherubic young man,
preserved beautifully,
lying perfectly still. He looks like a pope lying in state.
Meanwhile, like after an hour in the sun, his eyes would explode.
Well, also he got hit by a train. Bloated, yeah. He got hit by a train. He would look. It would smell crazy, and it would look crazy.
Well, Stephen King's not trying to be graphic,
Right? No, but he looks like. Honestly, he looks like Mao Zedong lying in state. In the.
Wait, what? What is that? Mao Zedong.
Oh, and Mao Zedong died.
Who's Mao Zedong?
Mao, Chairman Mao.
Oh, Chairman Mao.
When Chairman Mao died, they put him.
No one says his last name.
Mao Zedong.
Mao Zedong. ridiculous. Mao's a dog. I was like, what are you talking about? Are you like, a mouse a dog? You said that so normally. You're like, when Mao's a dog.
Mao's a dog.
I'm like, who the fuck is Mao's a dog?
I think you.
Who's dog? I thought you were talking about a guy named Mao's dog. Mao's dog.
Chairman Mao.
Chairman Mao.
Chairman Mao.
This is dog. Yeah, Chairman Mao.
When Chairman Mao, when he died, they preserved him. And
why are we still calling him chairman though? That's also ridiculous. Why are we still giving?
Am I going to be able to say what happened? I mean,
we don't call Hitler Führer.
That's true. That's true.
Why are we calling him Chairman Mao? We're not.
Chairman's so official.
I know. I mean, wasn't he horrible?
Yeah. It's honestly like
when
saying
Führer Hitler.
Yeah. And we don't do that with Mr. Stalin.
Yeah. When Chancellor Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. Mr. Hitler.
But anyway, yeah. Once you kill hundreds of thousands of people, you lose.
You lose the chairman. You lose the honorary title.
Yeah. But anyway,
Dr. Pol Pot. It's like Dr. Jill Biden.
Was he a doctor?
Pol Pot. No.
I thought he killed doctors.
I believe he did. Yeah.
He killed people who wore glasses.
True?
Yeah, the Jews of Cambodia were just people with glasses. So there's definitely people who took off their glasses that were trying to fake it. Like, I don't need. Just put their
That's dark.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
He killed people with bad
And
vision?
he put the date back to year 0.
I did know that.
Yeah.
So he was really trying to do he did a Holocaust in sort of a unique way.
Yeah. Well, they're all different,
Every Holocaust is special. They're like snowflakes. But I'm saying a lot of people are like, hey, I'm going to ethnically cleanse this group of people. Whereas Pol Pot was like, I'm going to ethnically cleanse, but I'm also going to
make random groups.
People with glasses, and we're going to start the year back at 0.
Yeah, people with yellow shoes. People are like, what?
Yeah. It would be like if
anyone who has a has a lisp.
Yes,
it was just bizarre shit. Yeah,
people coming after you.
Anyone with BO. Yeah, he'd do random shit.
It would be like if Hitler was like, we're going to get people who sneeze a certain way.
Yeah.
It'd be like people who roll their R's.
Right. I mean, you could actually be a good genocidal maniac if you just stayed with certain groups. People who talk in movie theaters.
Right.
People who share a post and they just put the caption "this." If we just killed all those people.
Sure.
People who begin posts with saying, "Let me get this straight." Like you. What do you mean you need to get this straight?
Right.
Execute them.
I had somebody say to me who I had no interaction with prior, who I got in an argument with. He went, "All right, no more Mr. Nice Guy." I was like, "We haven't spoken."
That guy.
Yeah.
People
guy,
who go thirsty much when you're drinking a lot of water.
Well, I have a huge problem with that, with the people who call you out for how much water you drink. Because what I drink
for nutrients to survive.
I drink and eat fast.
Yeah.
And people, when I drink water, they go, "Wow, you were thirsty, or wow, you're hungry." And I go, "This is something that we don't need to be doing."
No. I mean, it's insane. It's this is not to be. We all understand that we need nutrients to survive. You don't need to call it out sarcastically.
It's very juvenile.
How long were you in the bathroom? As long as it fucking took, you psychopath.
So intrusive.
I'm serious. A genocidal guy could. The problem isn't genocide. The problem is you pick groups that but if you just kept it to certain groups,
to the annoying,
kept it annoying, kept it to what are some other groups that would be good for that? Anyone who thinks lying is joking,
or
those people?
lying is a prank, or pranking is lying,
or
pranking,
or that's funny, the person who's how's it going? You're like, terrible, my mom died. I'm just kidding. I'm fine. That's just a lie. That's not a joke.
Right.
Those people, if we gas them all,
right,
I'd support that.
Sure. Okay.
Trying to think of who else.
So you're pro-Holocaust.
Pro-Holocaust. It's not about the Holocaust. I'm sounding like Bill Burr. Hey, you're fucking killing me. It's not about the Holocaust. It's about the people you choose.
Right. I understand that.
Obviously, it's about the people you choose.
I'm going to get to some of these questions.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
I guess when they choose Jews, people are like, I'm against Holocaust, but I guess they were just doing the same thing I'm saying right now, but for Jews.
Well, that's the thing, is they were offering similar qualifications. They were just like, hey, well, this is how we feel about the Jews. And happens to be a lot of the Jews are doing some of the annoying things that you're saying.
Right, like they could have been more. They could have just been like anyone who like asks a lot of questions in movies.
Anyone who kvetches.
Anyone who complains.
Yeah, they use all these Yiddish terms.
Anyone who has like stomach aches a lot.
Anyone with a lot of allergies. Do you know? Are you familiar with the vanishing of Betty Gale Brown?
No, I'm not.
One of Kentucky's most famous cold cases, 19-year-old Transylvania. First of all, Transylvania University? Are you familiar with this?
Dracula started a college in Kentucky.
It's crazy. There's a Transylvania in Kentucky?
Dracula wanted a college. Dracula, this is a big... You didn't know this?
Dracula was also a Kentucky Jew.
Yeah, Dracula wanted a university in Kentucky.
I think Transylvania...
You learn how to be a vampire.
I think the fact that they still have the phrase... Because I know it's a place in Pennsylvania. They still have a Transylvania at post-Dracula
yeah,
vampires.
Like you should change the name.
Get rid of... I think Dracula, Bram Stoker, he cleared all future use of Transylvania.
Because now you have to tell people you go to Transylvania University, and then they're going to make the same...
joke you just made.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like someone being like, this is my buddy Jeff Frankenstein. It's crazy that we still have... It's crazy that we're still using Transylvania.
Yeah, you're right. It should be replaced. Yeah, you're right.
So she disappeared...
At Transylvania University?
She was found strangled in her car on campus in Lexington, Kentucky at Transylvania University. The case shocked the community. And
wait, how did she disappear? That doesn't sound like disappearing.
Oh, yes, it was the vanishing. I don't know why.
How has she vanished? Her soul has vanished?
I suppose so. It says the vanishing, but she was strangled in her car, so I guess they found her. But no, I guess they don't know what happened to her. Okay, the Demon Leaper of Louisville Central State Hospital.
What is this?
In the ruins of the old Central State Hospital in Anchorage, you know where Anchorage is?
Yeah.
Patients and staff over a decade reported
sightings. You ever do that where you say yes, but then afterwards you're like, oh, I was just lying about that?
It's outside of Louisville.
Yeah.
And do you like the way I say Louisville?
Yeah, that's another people who could be in the genocide.
Lawville.
The people who correct how you pronounce their city or state.
Well,
let's put those in the concentration camps too.
The only time I get upset is when because I'm from Oregon and people say Oregon.
I know. I got that comment yesterday.
And I'm from Portland and people say Seattle.
Well, that's a joke. Right?
I mean, I've had close friends in the last week be like, "Oh, you went home to Seattle recently?"
Well, they're very similar. They're both they're both the exact same level of annoying.
Well, they're incredibly similar cities.
But Portland is much more beautiful.
I agree.
Pretty too.
Seattle has really pretty elements on its fringes, but like when you're in the city, it's not as nice. Whereas Portland is nice everywhere, but I think the highs of Seattle's beauty exceed Portland, if that makes sense.
Maybe, yeah, I could see that. They both have wacky laws where like a cop can only arrest you if you rob over $1 million from the bank or some crazy.
Yeah, well, I've told this on the podcast before, but my friend had a store and they got burglarized during like the early morning, and the windows were broken, everything, a bunch of stuff was taken from the store. He called the police and they were like, "Is the guy still there?" And he was like, "No." And they were like, "All right, you have to call the non-emergency hotline." So he calls the non-emergency hotline. He's on hold for 3.5 hours.
Oh my God.
Listening to music, and someone finally answers 3.5 hours later and goes, "Portland Non-Emergency Crimes Hotline." And he's like, "Hi, yeah, my store got burglarized." And I swear to God, the lady goes, "Oh, you got to call the police."
It's like read a word in the dictionary, go to the other definitions, like find that word.
Yeah.
You know, you can always tell like the level of crime in a city by like how much stuff is locked up in their Rite Aid.
Sure.
I was in Portland. I went into the Rite Aid. The people working there were locked up behind the glass. That's how
they were like Ken dolls.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Did you say that?
Yeah.
You had a great line because I did a guest spot on one of your shows in Portland, and you had a great line about people say the character line.
Oh yeah,
say
like,
that?
I was like driving downtown, and the Uber driver was like, "A lot of characters downtown." Like, is that the new term for homeless people? Like, I looked around, I was like, I don't know if they're characters. I saw a guy nodding out on heroin outside my hotel. I wasn't like, oh, he should be in a sitcom.
Yeah.
The new Kramer there.
He's a real wacky guy. The guy with the machete in the middle of the street's a real goofball.
Yeah, Portland is wild. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, people act like I'm a liberal. Yeah, you're a liberal.
Yep.
People act like it's like crazy.
Go along with the hesitation there you go. You're okay, go ahead.
But people act like like that's such hystericalness when you like bring up how lax the laws are or how like dystopian it looks, but like that's a real thing.
Totally. And there's this kind of thing of like, you go, God. I remember I got to Portland once. I visited Portland once in 2021, and when I visited, the Apple Store was being burned to the ground, set on fire, like literally burned to the ground.
Jesus.
And I remember coming back to LA and telling someone, I was like, yeah, when I got there, I was driving downtown and they had just put out the fire of the Apple Store, and there was a guy with a big sword walking the street, and my friend in LA goes, "Ooh, Mr. Fox News," and I was like, "Mr. Fox News?"
Just for observing insanity.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, I'm saying what happened. Like, I'm not Mr. Fox News. I'm like that doesn't make me like Lou Dobbs. Did Lou Dobbs just die, by the way?
I think he died, but was still on the air for a while. I don't know.
You do have a bit of a Mystic River problem when it comes to content.
Oh, you mean like waging war?
No, you say it's the Mystic River that you've described of like
you're like how I created that analogy and then I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about?
You posted something and you go, should I post this? And then I don't see it in time, and I go, I wouldn't post that, and you go, oh my God, is that my daughter in there?
I hadn't posted, but you took like a day to get back to me.
I think I'm a really bad texter. Joe List was just telling me, he texted me something, and then I responded like 10 hours later, and he was like, what the hell's wrong with you?
You're a bad texter, and you really quickly also call people out for not responding to you. Like, it's insane. Like, you'll go an hour without responding. You'll be like, what the fuck? You're like, yeah.
Am I a bad guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah.
I really I have a lot of gosh. You know what's also tough is sometimes I email someone and then I'm like, this is really on me. I email someone and then they don't email me back, and I'm like, what the hell? What the hell is their problem? And then like a month later, I'm like looking for something and I see that they emailed me like that day, and I'm like,
I've had that.
Oh
before.
My God, I feel like such a bozo.
I've had like being angry at someone because they didn't think they responded, but they did respond.
Totally. And like, or like you had, or you like look at your email and you're like, oh my God, I had an opportunity and I missed it. But what are you going to do?
You cannot be a public figure on any level and not be hated. People think Tom Hanks is a pedophile. Once that came out, I was like, well, Tom Hanks is like the least offensive person.
Right.
And people think he fucks. One of the richest person in the world shared a tweet that he fucks kids. So if people are going to think he's a pedophile, there's no way we're getting out of this without people hating us. So you might as well just say whatever the fuck you want.
That is a good litmus test for sort of, I've always felt that way with like when a comedian or someone we know is like, oh gosh, this thing I shared is, people are getting really upset at it. I'm like, once something passes a critical mass of visibility,
that's just what's going to happen. Yeah.
People are going to rush to it. Like, I've had jokes about the dentist that people have been furious at. When I posted my doctor joke for the first time, a guy DM'd me, a doctor in Arizona DM'd me and goes, if you were on my table, I wouldn't save you. And I was like, I think you can lose your medical license for that.
Oath?
That's what I said. I went Hippocratic oath.
Yeah.
By the way, very confusing. HIPAA and Hippocratic oath, I think they're two different. They're
one's an acronym and one's from Hippocrates.
I know, but they have they're both huge parts of being a doctor, and they're different. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a coincidence.
Healthcare, patient confidentiality, and one is the
whatever Greek
no
fucker
harm.
Created. I guess the first doctor in Greece, Hippocrates.
It's kind of this
What's
thing
his
of
name?
like
Hypocrite.
It's tough, right?
Dr. Hippocrates.
It was hippo, like hippopotamus, but like it's weird because obviously Hippocratic oath came first, because I think there was a long time of doctors being like, you got to see this guy I operated on. He
had a really small dick.
He had a tumor the size of a tangerine.
Yeah, a picture of his.
Totally.
Want to see this girl's pussy?
Look at this painting of these boobs that I operate on. No, but for a long time, so HIPAA came after. But you got to think when they were like.
But real quickly though, that's interesting. That I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
okay.
That's interesting that like. You're right, but it's the Hippocratic Oath. So I assume there's a guy named Hippocrates, right?
There was, yes.
So he must have been telling other doctors in ancient Greece, you really shouldn't tell people about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't tell, just because he said he fucked little boys when he was under the gas, you shouldn't let everyone know that.
No.
So he must have schooled people.
No, the Hippocratic Oath is do no harm, isn't it?
I thought it's also not tell people. Oh wait, I guess I'm confusing that with HIPAA.
Yeah, and so you're not, and so that's why it was interesting to interrupt me at the time that you did. It was interesting to interrupt me at the time that you did, but anyway.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My girlfriend hates me for interrupting.
Yeah,
it's like a real problem.
I mean, you are an interrupter.
I tell her it's anti-Semitic to think that because Jews talk over each other. So she's actually like, it's actually an anti-Semitic attack on my culture.
It's kind of like when somebody posts something like, and again, I say this as a self-loving Jew, and I know you, and you're probably the most Jewish person I've ever met, and so I say this with you in the room. It's like when somebody posts something that's like a picture of like a dog or like a rat, and someone's like, that's anti-Semitic, and you're like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you associating why are you jumping to that? Because
I have a bit about that. Well, like
you do.
About Harry Potter, like people think it's anti-Semitic
Goblins,
because of the goblins.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
why are you jumping to the goblins? The goblins is the best example.
Well, it's like, wait, what did I say? It's like, isn't that anti-Semitic to think that's anti-Semitic?
Yeah, literally.
To be clearly, those goblins are Jews,
But they are
ugly and they work at a bank.
Yeah, Bank Goblin.
Yeah,
Bank Goblin. Your nickname in high school. Bank Goblin.
Someone messaged me like, that's another comedian's joke, like that, like popped up around the same time. I think mine got posted earlier, and I was like, I didn't know the person's name, and I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
Like I'm not like it'd be one thing if it was like a comedian I knew or like Bill Burr, but if someone's just like, hey, Joan.
Well, I've had that happen before.
Jim Johnson in Idaho has a similar joke. I'm like, well, great. We both have a similar joke.
It's parallel thinking, but then you're like, but I don't know if this necessarily makes it arise to the point of like something I need to address because I came up with this idea first. And on top of that, like, this isn't something that I'm going to be inundated with. With respect to whoever came up with that idea, you're like, you're almost like, well, I didn't steal it from them.
It was also, it wasn't even goblins. It was like, maybe it was something, but it was like a similar thing. But I'm also just like, comedy is so fragmented and niche right now.
Totally.
That like, we don't we don't have to like, I learned this, basically, I was doing Fallon, and I had a joke that apparently was similar to another comedian's joke. It was a very stock, very quick line. Something like, I said, I'm 35. A lot of people think I'm younger because I've had so few accomplishments, And, but,
I gave you nothing.
I know, but you should see the other guy do it. He did it much better. But like the comedian, I don't know him, but like, I know of him. He's a very funny guy. Sam Morril once said, I think that comedian has a similar joke. And I'm like, I don't care. And then I would still do it. But then I was about to do it on Fallon. And then Sam's like, no, he did that joke on late night.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, should I stop it? But by that point, I had been memorizing the thing, and it was a segue. And it was really hard to cut out a segue, you know what I mean? And I never heard his joke. It'd be one thing if I like heard it, but I never heard it with parallel thinking, and I freaked out, and I didn't know what to do. And finally, I did the joke, but I stumbled over it a little because I was so nervous. And at the end of the day, no one saw either of our late nights, so who cares?
You stumbled.
Out of it, yeah.
That's really funny. HIPAA.
Yes.
It's interesting that HIPAA was obviously created recently in the span of medicine, and that someone was like, nobody was like, hey, this sounds a lot like the Hippocratic Oath. It's kind of like Breyer's ice cream and Dreyer's ice cream, where they're like, hey,
there's two ice cream. There's a Dreyer's ice cream.
Yeah. And there's interesting, I've said that to people, and they go, there's a Breyer's ice cream?
Really? I know Breyer's. I don't know Dreyer's.
So it's interesting. It's regional, I think. But
I think
people
you're
are like,
Liar's ice cream. That's what I think.
That's very good. I know a guy who has that similar joke, Liar's ice cream. And he did it on late night. And it bombed.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Do you think maybe they were like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we had that acronym be a little similar to Hippocratic? Like maybe we should lead it that way?
I don't think people think of things like that would be fun, like in the way that we might think like, hey, it'd be fun if we did that. I don't think people are looking at, I think people are like not looking at life that way necessarily. They're like, oh my God, we have to wash our, they're like doctors in like the 1800s, like we should start washing our hands.
But you are right. I mean, like,
we should stop giving like, having like crazy medicinal solutions to things like putting eggs up people's butts. Isn't that, I think that's what they did with when William McKinley was shot.
They put an egg up his butt?
My friend Jace was on the podcast talking about this when I think when President McKinley was shot, he was alive for like months.
Yeah, everyone back then was shot and never died right away.
And they were giving him
bullets just didn't kill you.
And they just didn't know what to do, and so they started giving him coffee enemas and I think they put eggs up his butt.
Wow.
Imagine you're the president of the United States and someone is like, "Hey, we gotta
put an egg up his butt."
Like, the president's been shot. What do we do? Get me the chicken. Like,
all outdated like medical procedures eventually become kinks on Pornhub.
No, it's really funny because medicine.
You ever watch leech porn? It's pretty hot.
I know you have. You like being leeched.
Leeched?
Yeah.
It seems like it would. It does seem like it'd be a little like.
How about ticks?
Ticks?
You ever have a tick? I feel like Kentucky, you're a big tick guy.
There are ticks. I don't know. I've never. I mean, I don't know. What do ticks do? I've never
They're like little leeches.
Run like a crazy deer because of them or whatever. Like
have you ever been in tall grass?
Yeah, I've been in tall grass.
You strike me as a guy who's had Lyme disease.
I thought I had Lyme disease once, but I was misreading the report. Oh no! I thought I had mono. I went to the doctor. The doctor told me I had Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And then I brought the blood test report to my friend who's a doctor, and she's like, "No, he read it wrong."
My God.
I'm like, that can happen.
That's crazy. Yeah, you were misdiagnosed.
Yeah.
So what did you have?
I think it was mono. Yeah.
The kissing disease.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, not from kissing.
From what?
Egg up the butt. But
how'd you get mono?
I don't know. I had it a couple of years ago. It was awful.
Oh yeah, to get it in your 30s
for like 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get it from like hooking up with someone.
I know.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? I feel like I have mono right now. I'm so tired.
Okay.
But we all like intellectually know that doctors get shit wrong, but we
Sure.
also at the same time deny that fact to like function as a to not go insane. We just assume when a doctor talks to us, we just assume they're right.
It's interesting too because the increasing distrust of scientists and doctors over the last, post-COVID, I feel like that hasn't borne out as much in people's personal relationships with their doctors,
It's the denial, right? Yeah. It's like compartmentalized.
Like there's this thing of like, even, I'm not saying you're like this, but even people who are like, I don't trust doctors. They're the ones who got us into this mess. They created.
Yeah.
They gave us COVID on purpose because the Jews want us to blah blah blah.
It doesn't go over to Dr. Pipkin at their office.
I don't think it does.
No, you can't because you can't. You need to assume your doctor is correct. If you don't, you'll just be in a world of complete. We're already nervous as it is. You just need that denial.
Totally, and they don't always know what they're doing. I had a rash on my hand, and I showed my doctor friend. We were at a wedding in October, and I showed him the rash, and I was like, "Can you look at this for me?" And he was like, "I don't know what that is." And then I swear to God, he goes, "Can you look at this?" And he showed
me the doctor.
He showed me his shoulder. He showed me something on the shoulder. I was like, I don't know what that is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like a cop being like, "Can you put me under arrest right now?"
Yeah.
No, it's like my doctor. I did blood tests recently. My doctor said I'm completely fine. Everything is normal.
Really,
and I'm like, "There's no way that's true." But like,
isn't that funny that something is generally wrong when you say my blood tests were great, and I go, "No, they weren't."
Yeah, I know. There's no way.
Even you were like,
my doctor said I was at a normal weight. No. But like,
how about these people who just say like, "Don't weigh me at the doctor"? It's like you should be weighed. It reminds me of people being like, I had a teacher once, like a third grade teacher of mine. I think she was like telling us, like a group of kids, she was like, one day I looked in the mirror and said, I'm going to stop counting my age, and I don't know how old I am. And I remember now that I'm older, I'm like, well, that's impossible.
That's impossible. Yeah.
You have a driver's license.
You know the year you were born.
You have an awareness of when you were born. But I remember her, like, she was honestly telling us, she was like, I have no idea how old I am. I stopped, several years ago, I stopped thinking about my age. At the time, I was 75, and no.
That's so bizarre. Yeah, it's not true.
Yeah, I was 61, and that was 2003. So
she's just saying she's really bad at math.
I think she's just bad and then conscious of her age and stuff, you know.
But
we're gonna have to wrap up in a second. We didn't get to any of the topics.
well, I know someone who disappeared in Louisville, Kentucky, or I knew her brother.
Wow, you're like Joe List. Joe List knew the girl, like the most famous disappearance in Massachusetts. He went to high school with her.
With the girl who disappeared?
Yeah.
He knew her?
Yeah, well.
What?
Yeah. He
I
doesn't
didn't
talk
know this.
Yeah, he doesn't talk about it.
He doesn't talk about it?
No.
What kind of comedian doesn't talk about shit?
Well, I think
How did he talk about you? I'm friends with Joe.
I know.
Was it on this podcast?
It was on the podcast, and I just mean he doesn't talk about it on stage. Like it's not. He's like I don't talk about it on stage or on podcast. It's not funny because it's like this person I know who was like disappeared.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have
No,
brought it up.
you should talk about it. Talk about it, and then we'll leave.
This girl in Louisville, she was a Jewish girl. I remember in synagogue, I'd see her like missing photo. She went to the mall and just kind of disappeared, never came back, and it was always a mystery. She's still cold file.
Any trace of her? Any clues?
Once a guy in prison said like he was the one who killed her, and he said where she was buried, but she wasn't buried there.
I think this girl's on the list.
Ann Gottlieb.
No, it's just very similar to Gail Brown. Somebody claimed Gail Brown, the girl who was strangled in her car, who just disappeared. Somebody claimed they killed her, and then they didn't.
Oh, yeah, that happens a lot. And so, but one time I was in English class, and her brother was in the class. He didn't, I think he was born after she disappeared. But
oh, my God.
We were reading a poem this is high school, about a girl who disappeared. And the teacher goes, does anyone remember that girl who disappeared?
Oh, my God.
And I saw him, like, meekishly trying to raise his hand.
Oh, my God.
But then not. And then she's like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure she's dead. But, like, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of was
and
like...
he just kind of, like, didn't say... Like, she didn't put the names together.
A lot of Jews in Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, there's 10,000. 10,000 Jews in the 16th largest state.
It's a big state.
I mean, 16th largest city. Yeah, I mean, there's Jews. I mean, look, like I used to do a joke about this. People are like, how are there Jews in Kentucky? I'm like, when my grandpa left Europe before the Holocaust, he wasn't very picky. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like, joke. It's the diaspora for a reason.
And Ariel's also a Kentucky Jew, right? Or no?
She's from Lexington.
And you're from Louisville.
We've had similar jokes that we've like been like, oh, we parallel thought the exact same joke.
Sure.
But it's wild how parallel thinking can be so like, it just shows you how algorithmic this all is.
Right.
Or most of it is.
Sure.
Like I remember she did a bit on Hanukkah. And I'm not saying anyone took it from either one, but like I had like a very similar bit, like similar word choices. Like,
yeah,
it's interesting how that can happen. Like parallel, like people accuse people of stealing because they don't understand how comedy works.
I don't have that problem very often because I talk about things that nobody cares about.
I feel like that was a real humble brag, you know?
Oh, no, it wasn't.
I'm very unique in my triviality.
Yeah, my triviality, it causes me great problems. People say I should talk about the issues more. But, yeah, do you have anything you want to plug? I mean, thanks for coming on.
Of course. When does this come out?
Probably this week or next week.
I mean, I'm doing the Jersey City Comedy Festival.
When?
I'm headlining June 10th.
Oh, yeah, that'll come up for them.
So you can get tickets@punchup.live/Raanan, Raanan.
You cut the Hershberg.
Yeah.
Are you cutting the Hershberg totally or just for punch up?
Just for the punch up, yeah.
Okay.
I should become a share, right? If anyone
Raanan would be huge for you.
If anyone justifiably
Raanan would be big for you, seriously.
Last name, yeah, maybe I should.
Because you should have uniformity across everything. So if you were like Raanan on everything, just Instagram Raanan.
Well, you're
TikTok.
you're allowed like one unique name. You can't have both names be like hard to pronounce, you know. So
Jersey City Comedy Festival.
City Comedy Festival, and then I mean I got some other road dates. So well, I mean. We're doing a screening of the movie I co-wrote and co-directed. The
Memory
film,
Room.
Memory Room. Are you gonna be around for that?
What day is it?
June 27th. You can get tickets at on Instagram. I'll put that on Punch Up Live.
And you're getting married. Do you want to plug your wedding?
Yeah, June 22nd. I guess you're not invited, or you're invited, but
I was invited, but I didn't receive any details.
Yeah, it was a soft invite, wasn't it?
It was a very soft invite.
Well,
to the
I
point
went to see. Are you going to be in town for it?
I don't think so.
You don't. I mean, you don't.
I don't live here, but I. Oh, so you weren't even going like I'm not going to reach out to people who don't live in New York because I remember you invited me. I was talking to someone like, yeah, I'm going to Ronan's wedding on such and such, and I was like, oh no, you did give Ismail details.
I was going to give you details too. I was just waiting for a follow up. I thought I gave you details.
You gave Ismail details.
I thought he'd give
he
it back
lives
to
in
you.
L.A. You gave him a wedding invitation. You thinking
I didn't give him an official wedding invitation. I just texted him like maybe, but I'll text you. All right, come to the wedding. It's June 27th.
Oh, I'm out.
I wanted
June
to
27th
invite
is
you.
June 27th is the screening. You can't get married the day of the screening.
June 22nd is the wedding, and you're invited.
Thank you.
It's at I'll tell you afterward. I don't need to have one of your weirdo fans show up. But yeah, you're invited.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for doing it, man.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Punchup.live/lukemones. Everything's there. I don't know. It's tough to plug your own podcast. If somebody's watched this far, they probably know where I'm going to be.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
That's why I disagree with the plugs. Houston, New Orleans, Plano, Los Angeles, places like that.
Yeah,
Salt Lake City, Las Vegas.
The whole point of having a podcast is to plug.
No, you're right.
You know?
All right, everybody. Thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
Raanan Hershberg.